Good day, everyone. My name is Lucia from Analytic Consulting, but also from the Food Safety Summit. And I'm so pleased to have with me today Dr. John Donaghy from Nestlé, based in Switzerland. And John holds the responsibility for food safety in global operations in Nestlé. And I've come to know him as a very gentle person with an incredible amount of knowledge and experience in his field. So welcome, John, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Good morning, Lucia, and thank you for the invite. You're really happy to be here to give you this sort of heads up of our presentation at your summit next month.
Yeah, thanks so much. So tell us a little bit more about your talk. I know you've been involved in whole genome sequencing and metagenomics and all these wonderful, new terms that we use so easily today, but they are not always well understood by everyone. So I'd really like you to tell us a little bit more about that, please.
So the talk that I will do next month at your summit will have three main topics. One, will I talk about whole genome sequencing in general. I'll also talk about sort of, let's say, the newest kid on the block, metagenomics, which is sort of not as mature as whole genome sequencing. And then I'll talk a little bit about where those techniques or analytical tools can be applied within the food industry. Whole genome sequencing has now been around, at least in developed countries, probably for about 5 years, and it's widely used by authorities. In fact, now most foodborne illness outbreaks are investigated by whole genome sequencing because it's probably renowned as a definitive way of identifying pathogens in particular and being able to do traceback. So really, it is a tool of choice, I would say, by authorities and now also by industries for source attribution or source tracking. And as industry, I suppose you can look at it positively or negatively. I like to look at it positively, in fact that it's not an authority chasing you down, but rather you're using the technology to help with root cause analysis in a factory. If you have a findings, you want to know, is it persistent? Do I have the same strain? Where did the strain come from? Did it come from a supplier ingredient delivery? Did it come from a drain in the past and now it's got aerosolized onto your surfaces, etc. So really, I'm very excited about the technology, but it's not a cheap, not an easy technology, and it's not fit for everyone. It suits a large food business operator like Nestle, of course, who's got multiple plants throughout the world.
Yes, you've pointed out a very important point about the cost. It's definitely becoming more affordable, and there are some commercial labs in South Africa who can conduct this kind of technology for industry, which is helpful. But the point you make about a large corporation is important too. So tell us a bit more about how Nestle uses whole genome sequencing and metagenomics, etc., to assist you in identifying pathogens and managing them, controlling them better.
I know for us, it's an extremely useful tool for root cause analysis in the same way as a public health authority. We use it for source tracking. We use it for source attribution or source tracking as well. Did it come from a supplier? Is it persistent in our factories? And we tend to use it for different pathogens. For example, we have used it for Salmonella, Listeria monocytogenes, Chronobacter and powdered infant formula factories as well. In fact, I will give some examples of case studies where we've actually used it for Listeria monocytogenes root cause analysis investigations. But when we talk about sort of the infrastructure needed and the cost to a certain extent, sometimes I always put it in context. We are a large organization with the 350 factories across multiple categories, across multiple countries. So it is something that we deem, a good investment as part of our food safety management system. Now, if, for example, you are a small medium enterprise and you only have a small number of factories and you very rarely will have findings of a pathogen, you have to question yourself, is it worth, certainly it's probably not worth investing in it yourself, but it may be useful to have a third party who can do it for you. Where someone like us with such a large, you imagine our environmental monitoring program where we swab and do in our factories all of the time, as well as raw material, finished part release. There always is a small chance of you finding something and you want to know where it came from. So that's why we chose a number of years ago to actually invest in it internally. But of course, you need the analytic, I call it the wet chemistry, and you also need the dry chemistry in terms of bioinformatic expertise.
Yeah.
So this is not for any small enterprise, let's say, but at least you can have a third party who can do it for you.
Right. Yes. Very important, all important points. But thank you so much for being with us today. And I certainly look forward to your talk, because I know they're always very, very interesting and incredibly informative. So I look forward to the 4th of June, I think, is your date for your talk. And yes, certainly, I hope that everybody else watching this podcast will be there with us on the day as well. So thank you very much, John, once again.
I look forward to the event, Lucia, and I always like to share what we have and what we've been doing, with a wider community,
Yeah.
for sure. And maybe I'll demystify whole genome sequencing a little bit for some people, and I'll also give a hint of maybe metagenomics, which is the new kid on the block,
Yeah.
and how we're also trying to look at that, although it's much less mature than whole genome sequencing. So
Yeah.
hopefully we get a big audience, and I look forward to being there.
Thanks very much. And I would like to encourage everyone to please go to our website at foodsafetysummit.co.za, where you will find all the information you need. Thanks very much to everyone, and thanks for watching this podcast.